We're just waiting for a couple more people to join us for this evening. Okay. All right, just to double check, if anyone can hear me, please leave a comment in the comment section. Oh, there we go. I think we're good to go. Yay! All right, we're live. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for coming. Okay. So we've got about 3 people joining us at the moment, which is awesome. Thank you for coming. All right, so if this is your first day joining us, welcome. It's great to have you here. This is our 4th study session for TOEIC, which there's another TOEIC test coming up towards the end of the month. So if you're joining us for today, please make sure you have this textbook in front of you. I hope everyone can see that. Okay, very nice. Okay. All right, thank you for coming. All right, so let's get started. We've got a lot to cover for today. So today we're going to be focusing on part 4 of the TOEIC class, of the TOEIC test, rather. So part 4 of the TOEIC test. It's very similar, for those of you who have taken it before, it's quite similar to part 3, which we covered last Friday. So let's start with a couple of tips that we can keep in mind for today while we're working through part 4. All right, so let's have a look at the board one more time. All right, so just as a quick review of something we discussed last week, the first tip for today is, once again, please try to stay ahead of the speaker. So that voice, that guy on the test who is reading the questions to you, try to make sure you are reading faster than he is speaking. So again, he will try to dictate, he will try to control how quickly you are answering those questions, but don't let him do that. While he gives you that pause between the questions, try to make sure that you are reading ahead, that you're circling faster than he can read, and then try to read ahead before he moves on to the next question. All right, I think that sounds more complicated than it actually is, but try to make sure you are staying ahead of the questions that he is reading on the test. Okay, it does become a little more difficult to do that for part 4. Part 4 is arguably, I think most people would agree that part 4 is a little more difficult than part 3. Thank you. I just got a response that said, you can hear me. Yay! That's good to know. Thank you so much. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. Yes. All right. So that's your first tip for today. Again, if you have any questions at all while we're working today, please just leave me a comment in the comment section and I will get back to them as soon as they arrive on my end. Again, if this is your first time joining, I'm very sorry about the time delay. We have about a 40-second time difference. So if I don't respond immediately, that's why, but I will respond to you as soon as I see your comment. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so part 1, stay ahead of the speaker. Very, very important. The only thing I want to add to that for today, before we start working, is a big but over here. So, but please be sure to listen to the instructions this time. So when we talked about part 3 last week, the instructions are very similar. You don't really learn anything, or there's nothing terribly important in the instructions that the guy gives you for part 3. For part 4, on the other hand, there's a bit of a hint that's given when the person is giving the instruction. So for example, you might hear something like, questions 71 to 73 refer to the following news report. So this part will be very similar. Again, if you've taken the TOEIC before, you probably know this already, so I apologize. This is for those of you who haven't taken the TOEIC before. So questions 71 to 73 refer to the following something. So this can be quite helpful in terms of previewing or brainstorming what kind of listening passage might follow. So if you hear, for example, if you hear them say the following news report, you can sort of prepare your brain to take in the sound of a news report, which is very different than, for example, the sound of a recorded voice message on your cell phone or something. It's two very, very different kinds of listening passages. So this part of the instructions can be quite helpful. So do try to catch what they're saying in that section. All right, it just gives you an extra moment to prepare for what's coming. Okay, great. And just to follow up on that, I have a list of the types of listening passages for today. So, for example, let's go through them together. We've got public announcements. We've got news, weather, and public service bulletins, for example. We've got commercial messages, like advertisements, for example. And we've got business talks. It's a little more difficult, some of the vocabulary in there. Sorry, let me get out of the way. Business talks. And finally, you can also expect some recorded messages, as in some messages recorded on your phone or someone's answering machine. All right, not too many people use answering machines anymore, but you can still expect to hear them on the TOEIC test. Okay, so again, if anybody has any questions about what these are, just let me know, and I can go back and talk about them in more detail. However, for those of you who have taken TOEIC before, you probably get what the differences are here. All right, but please don't hesitate. If you do want more information about these or some examples, just let me know, and I can type them up for you in the comment section. All right, very nice. All right, so that's all I have for you today at the moment in terms of tips. So keeping these in mind, let's move ahead into the textbook. So let me get back over here. Okay, so everyone should have their textbook in front of them, I hope. And please queue up your first CD. Queue up, there's an expression for you for today. So please get ready. Please grab your CD and please turn it to track 28 on CD 1. Let me just type that up for you. CD 1, track 28. There we go. Okay, great. So once again, I will listen with you. And once again, please listen to one full section of the part 4. So for example, the first 3 questions, 71, 72, and 73, will all refer to one listening passage. So please listen to one listening passage, pause, and then we will check those 3 answers together. All right, whenever you're ready, go ahead. Good luck. Okay, let's pause there. So there was a little bit longer delay, but hopefully everyone listened to track 28 as well, which are the instructions. So that part took a little bit longer than the other ones will. Okay, so let's check together. So question 71, question is, what is the report mainly about? What is the report mainly about? So what do you think? A, B, C, or D? It is C, actually. Yes, very nice. I think probably most people got that. It's C, a performing arts center. So how do we know that? We know that because in the first sentence, first line was, earlier today, the mayor announced that the city will begin construction on a new performing arts center. So right from the beginning of the announcement, we hear a performing arts center. That's also something that you can keep in mind is if you have these questions, for example, what is the report about, or what is the message about, or what is the news about, for example, you can probably expect to hear that announced very early on in the listening passage, kind of as an opening statement. So it hits you very silently, so please make sure you're ready for it, that you're paying attention. All right, question 72, who is Eduardo Flores? He is D, he is a teacher. He's actually a teacher, not an actor, unfortunately. An actor would seem to fit with the situation, but he's actually a teacher. The listening passage said, if I can find it here we go, the facility will be named after Eduardo Flores, an influential music teacher who has worked in the Millbrook school system for over 40 years. So he's a music teacher. All right, nice work. Question 73, according to the speaker, what will happen in October? A, B, or C? It's actually C. I hope you got that as well. So C is a performance will take place. And we know that because towards the end of the passage, they said in October, local actors, dancers, and singers will perform in a free event on the main stage to celebrate the building's grand opening. All right, so that came a little bit later in the listening passage. Very nice. Okay, good work. Once again, if you have any questions, just let me know. Okay, moving on, just to keep the pace up so we finish on time. All right, next question. Go ahead, please listen and pause it after the third question. All right, go ahead. Okay, let's pause there. So, did everyone catch the instructions that time? So it was a little bit different. He said 74 through 76 refer to the following advertisement. So the following commercial, basically, which would fall into this category, commercial message. All right, so that hopefully gives you an extra second to sort of prepare your brain for what kind of language and what kind of tone might follow. All right, so it was an advertisement. Let's check the first one. What type of product does the store sell? Number 74. A, B, C, or D? it would be D. Very nice. I hope you got that. So D is footwear. You can catch that from the very first line, actually, which was, come to Endwell Shoes this weekend for our annual winter sale. So if you hear shoes, shoes is a type of footwear. So listening for those kinds of synonyms as well can be helpful. Again, it's a lot to keep in your brain, but hopefully if you hear a synonym for one of the words in the answer section, you can sort of keep that in mind. It's probably a hint. All right, so the answer was D. So 75. What did style experts say about Ella Bancroft's products? So if I can just interject for a moment, if I can just pause for a second, hearing a name like Ella Bancroft, so it's not a noun. I mean, it is a noun, but it's not. It's obviously a name because it's not a thing. So the names tend to sort of jump out at you in a listening passage. So even if you don't catch everything around it, hopefully you can catch that name, and it can help you to focus in on where that answer might be in the listening passage, if that makes sense. And hopefully by this point you have read ahead, so by the time you hear that name, Ella Bancroft, oh yes, I read that for question 75, so it's coming up. It's coming up very soon. All right, so that's kind of the thought process of looking for those kinds of answers, especially if there's a proper name in that case. Okay, if you didn't catch that, you can watch the recording again after we're done. Okay, thank you very much. So what did style experts say about Ella Bancroft's products? The answer is C. Answer is C. They are popular this season. It's a very, very long sentence, but let's have a look here. So the discount even applies to Ella Bancroft's designer boots, which style experts on the Forward Fashion television network say are this season's most popular line of footwear. Oh, it's a very long sentence. All right, so they threw another name at you, Forward Fashion television network. You don't need that, so you don't need to worry about that at all. But they did mention style experts very specifically, so hopefully that kind of jumped out at you as well. All right, they also used the word line, popular line of footwear, which might have been a bit confusing. It just means like a popular brand, a popular release group of footwear. So for example, if anybody has Converse shoes, each line of Converse shoes, there's different kinds of Converse shoes. All right, so that would be, we could call that a line of shoes. All right, it's kind of like a brand. Okay, finally, moving on, question 76. When will the promotion end? They gave a date right at the end, which was C, on Sunday. Yes, Sunday. Very nice. So it says, remember, because it's an advertisement, they use very strong language. Remember, the sale ends Sunday, so come take advantage of these great deals while they last. So they actually mentioned Sunday in the last line. All right. Great work. Okay, moving on. Next one, please have a listen and answer the next 3 questions. Go ahead. Okay, let's have a look. So question 77. Again, so this was a very different kind of situation. It was actually a little bit shorter. So the question was, 77 through 79 refer to the following broadcast announcement. So that would fall under like public announcements or even public service bulletins, possibly. All right, so something to do with your local neighborhood. All right, so let's have a look at number 77. Who is sponsoring the contest? Who is sponsoring the contest? It was a magazine. Very nice, a magazine. The way we know that is because they gave us the name of the magazine at the beginning, which is hosting the contest. So it says, Montreal Fiction Magazine is pleased to announce its 5th annual amateur short story contest. So we have that "it's" in there, which proves that it's the magazine which is sponsoring the contest. So that's the connection right there. All right, even if you didn't catch "it's," just going with the magazine at the beginning, because that's what you heard, first of all, that's the best choice. All right. It actually says Montreal Fiction Magazine, which is very close. Montreal is very close to where I'm from. So that's kind of exciting. All right. Question 78. What are participants competing for? A, B, C, or D? Maybe a little bit tricky. This one was A. This one is A, an opportunity to be published. All right, so the way we know that because about a little bit in, they said winners will have their writing published in the magazine's January issue. All right, so this is a little bit tricky because they didn't actually say there's a prize involved, or like there's a winner, or they didn't use any kind of obvious language which you might expect when people are talking about a competition. However, if you caught that it came from a magazine, being rewarded with a publication kind of makes sense. So those two sort of go together. All right, an opportunity to be published. All right, and question 79. Why are listeners asked to visit the website? Why are listeners asked to visit the website? It would be B. All right, B is to get contest rules. This is particularly tricky because let's look at the sentence together. So the very last sentence was, for contest rules, please visit our website. There was also, good luck, we look forward to seeing your work. All right, that one sentence, for contest rules, please visit our website. It's particularly difficult because they kind of switched the order in which you were hoping to hear it. They could have said, please visit our website for the contest rules. That would have been a lot more helpful, but they made it tricky for you. All right, this is actually a word order that you can expect from public announcements or even news recordings, though. So I would recommend trying to get used to that word order. For this, or in order to get this, please do this. All right, so they sometimes use that word order, so please be careful. All right, nice job so far. Let's keep going. So next part, next listening passage, please answer the next 3 questions and we'll check together. Go ahead. Okay, let's pause for a second and let's talk about that listening passage. All right, so again, different situation. So they said questions 80 through 82 refer to the following talk. Not too helpful, not too informative there. But did everybody catch where that talk is taking place? It's actually taking place on a radio. All right, so one hint to catch that would be the very first line. This is WST Radio's Samuel Kane. So if you hear a bunch of letters, for example, WST, sounds like NHK, CBC, BBC, that kind of stuff. Probably news or radio, something like that. All right, so WST Radio's Samuel Kane with, he said, with your weekend traffic report. That was the first line. So that means question 80, who is the speaker? He is a traffic reporter. He's a traffic reporter, B. All right, nice job. Question 81, what is happening on Colfer Street? What's going on, Colfer Street? A, B, C, or D? It is D. A festival is being held. All right, so the answers don't give you the option of choosing what kind of festival was going on, but in the listening passage, they said Colfer Street is closed today for the Madison Heights Food Festival. So they actually, luckily, they used the word festival in there. So hopefully that jumped out at you. Food festival. Okay. And finally, question 82. What does the speaker suggest listeners do? Again, one of these tricky questions. What does the speaker suggest listeners do? B. Yes, the answer is B. Use public transportation. So the way we know that, he said, if you're planning to attend the festival, it's a good idea to take the city bus that leaves from the public library every half hour. All right, so that phrase, it's a good idea to, sounds like he's making a suggestion. And he says the city bus, which is a kind of public transportation. All right, so you can listen for phrases like city bus, subway, streetcar, for example, train, all kinds of public transportation. All right, very nice. Good job. Moving on, next listening passage. Go ahead, next 3 questions. Go for it. Okay, sorry to interrupt. So let's talk about questions 83, 84, and 85. All right, so the context, the overall context, the question stated that it refers to the following advertisement. So it's an advertisement. You can expect someone to try to sell something to you. All right, so question 83, let's have a look. What kind of business is being advertised? A, B, C, or D? It is B. Yes, very nice. B is a fitness center. All right, so we could catch that from the second line, as well as the context. So let's look at the very first thing that they said. Do you want to increase your energy level, get in shape, and live a healthier life? So that kind of sounds like they're talking about fitness. They're talking about health and staying in shape. All right, so the second line is, if so, visit the BVB Fitness Center today. All right, so those are your big hints right there. Fitness center. All right, question 84. What change is the business making? This is a tricky one because hopefully you had read ahead by this part. If you were not staying ahead of the speaker, I can imagine this would be quite a tricky one to catch because the question itself is not very helpful. What change is the business making? It's a very, very general question. All right, but did anyone catch the answer? The answer is C. The answer is C. They are hiring more staff. And we know that because the advertisement said, we're doubling the size of our staff so that we can provide you with the individual attention you deserve. All right, you don't have to worry about the second part of that sentence, but we're doubling the size of our staff. Doubling. So we're hiring twice as many people as we had before. All right, it's a very, very quick sentence. So I can imagine that's a tricky one right there. Okay, so make sure you're reading ahead. Really, really try to stay ahead of this guy. All right, question 85. How can listeners get a discount? How can listeners get a discount? The answer is D, by signing up with a friend. By signing up with a friend. So there were actually two statements that give us this answer. He said, then bring a friend. Let's go back a little bit. Don't want to come by yourself? Question. Don't want to come by yourself? Then bring a friend. If you sign up together, you'll both receive your first month's membership free. All right, so there's your section that would let you know that you can sign up with a friend to get a discount. When in doubt, as well, just a quick sort of side note before we get back to it, when in doubt, try to think of maybe situations that you have been in. So personally, for example, any gym that I've been to, I think all of them had this kind of discount available. I'm not sure if that's just maybe a Canadian thing. I don't know where that happens too commonly. But for example, if you're kind of stuck between two of them and you don't have the chance to go back or to listen again, and you just need to make a decision, is it this one or this one? Try to ask yourself which one seems more realistic. So that is one thing about the TOEIC test. Most of the responses will relate to a kind of real life situation. So for example, question 85, if you didn't really catch it, you could think that signing up with a friend sounds like a reasonable choice. It is something that happens. Okay. Nice job. All right, moving on. We're about halfway there, so keep up the good work. All right, we're going to pick up the pace a little bit, just checking the time. All right, so again, if anybody has any specific questions, just let me know. All right, moving on. Go ahead. Next section. Okay, let's talk about this one. So again, just a little bit of a side note, something extra to think about. If you find that the listening is starting to feel longer, which I certainly felt. This one felt a little bit longer. General rule of thumb, something to keep in mind, don't panic. I know that sounds kind of silly, but if it feels like they're talking and you're not catching anything, like where's the answer? It's not there yet. It might just be later in the listening passage. So for example, 2 of the responses for this one come quite a bit later in the listening passage. So you might start to feel like, oh, did I miss it? Oh, what happened? Why am I not getting the answer? So don't do that because it distracts you. All right. So just try to stay focused. And in longer passages like this, try to pick up individual words, which again is why it's really important to try and stay ahead of the speaker. I know they make it really difficult to do that, but if you have read ahead, you should have some key words in your head that might just jump out at you, or they might sort of spark your focus, and they might jump out when you're listening and find, oh, there it is, finally, there it is. All right, so you might have that great moment a little bit later in the listening passage of, oh, I found it. All right, so you have to stay patient. All right, don't panic. Okay, let's check together. So question 86, what type of classes are taught at Fine Focus? Fine Focus, acting. It's an acting school. So they said, hello, you've reached Fine Focus Acting Academy. Fine Focus Acting Academy. One big name of the academy. Okay. Question 87, why should listeners leave a message? This is the one where it's like, panic, where is the answer? The answer is B. All right, so to contact an enrollment counselor. To contact an enrollment counselor. So it sounded like, full sentence, here we go. If you are an aspiring actor interested in joining our school, please press 1 to leave a message for our enrollment counselor. Okay, so they try to throw you off with the first part of that sentence. The whole press 1 thing is just there to make it more difficult. But it's in there. So please press 1 to leave a message for our enrollment counselor. All right, so hopefully if you'd read ahead, the words message and maybe enrollment and maybe counselor jumped out at you at that point. Okay, awesome. 88, according to the speaker, what is available on the websites? It would be A, comments from former students. All right, so that sounded like, for more information, including what former students have to say about how our school can help you pursue your dreams, please visit our website. So that middle part, again, is there to make you go, panic, panic. All right, so don't worry, don't panic. So for more information, including what former students have to say, blah, 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 please visit our website. All right, so hopefully those 2 sections kind of jumped out at you. Don't get overwhelmed by the extra information in the middle. All right, good work. Okay, hang in there. Let's do the next one. All right, next 3. Go ahead. Okay, sorry to interrupt. Let's have a look. So question 89. What is the main purpose of the announcement? All right, so even if you didn't catch the instructions, in this case, it's stated in the question that this is just an announcement, a general announcement. All right, so question 89, the answer is B, to discuss a training session, which again was stated right at the beginning of the listening passage. So it said, I want to remind everyone about the upcoming training session on the new time reporting software. All right, so again, be ready, try to be ready right from the beginning to catch the main topic of the listening passage. All right, so it's right there, right at the beginning. Okay, who is Sandra Kahn? Sandra Kahn is D. She is a payroll manager. That is the best response from A, B, C, or D. All right, the word that gave it away is payroll. Payroll. So the statement was, Sandra Kahn, the head of the payroll department, will be leading the training. So they didn't actually say manager because they're making it difficult, but they said the head of the payroll department. So when you refer to someone as the head, you're talking about a boss or a manager or a supervisor. So someone who is in a higher position than you are in general. Okay, so we can assume that she's a manager. All right, and 91, what will the speaker give each listener? A manual. A. Yes. So the speaker says, I have copies of the software's instruction manual for all of you. She used I. I have copies of the software's instruction manual for all of you. All right. Pretty straightforward. Sounds good. All right. Almost there. We got 3 more. All right. Let's keep going. Next one. Go ahead. Okay, let's pause there. Yikes. Okay, so there's lots of actually extra information in this one that they just give you that for context. They give it to create a bigger, fuller picture for you, but also to maybe confuse you and make you panic. Like, oh, where's the answer? They're still talking. All right, so again, one of the answers was right at the end. So just be patient. Don't panic. Okay. Question 92. Who is the caller? Who is the caller? He is an apartment manager. So kind of similar to the previous question, they didn't actually say apartment. They said building manager. So then from the rest of the context, and also if you look at A, B, and D, they're not really talking about buildings. So we can assume the building is an apartment in that case. All right, an apartment manager. Sounds good. 93. What will take place tomorrow afternoon? That would be B. Yes, very nice. B, plumbing will be inspected. Plumbing will be inspected. All right, and then he went on to give more details about why they need to check the plumbing. There's been some complaints from other tenants about the water. So they mentioned water, which is again a hint about plumbing. Okay, and finally, Question 94. Why would the listener be contacted again? Ah, tricky. Okay, why would the listener be contacted again? Right at the end, the last sentence was, if any repairs have to be made in your apartment, I'll contact you to set up a time to have the work done. Okay, so the hint there is the phrase if. If any repairs have to be made in your apartment, I'll call you. He actually didn't say, I'll call you again. He could have said that, but they're making it really difficult. Okay, so the hint here, would, which is kind of a conditional phrase, would and if go together. Why would the listener be contacted again? If repairs have to be scheduled. So the answer is D, to schedule a repair. Let's try that again. To schedule a repair. Very nice. I think my mouth is frozen today. Okay, good. I hope that makes sense. That was a really difficult one. Okay, nice job. We're almost done. All right, let's get through the next two, and then hopefully we'll have about 5 minutes or so to take up some questions. All right, if you have any questions, please get them ready. You can leave them in the comment section. All right, we got 2 more. Go ahead, please listen. Okay, let's pause there. All right, so this listening passage is from a workshop, which they actually mentioned in the instructions and also at the beginning of the listening passage. All right, so let's have a look. 95. What is the topic of today's workshop? The answer is A. Very nice. All right, so A is getting ready for a job interview. Getting ready for a job interview. So let's go over the first sentence was, let me check. At today's workshop, we're going to focus our attention on the interview stage of the job search process. Okay, so they didn't mention resume, salary, or even careers. B is very close. It's very tempting because it sounds like they're talking about job search. So job search, oh, changing careers? Not quite, all right? They talked about focusing your attention on a certain stage of the job search process. All right, so the answer is actually A. Please be careful. All right, 96. 96, according to the speaker, what is in the handbook? All right, this one was pretty straightforward. So she said, in your handbook, you'll find a checklist to use as you get ready for an interview. So she kind of gave you a signal there. In the handbook, ooh, handbook, there we go. It's our cue for 96. Handbook, you'll find a checklist. Blah, blah, blah. So checklist should have also kind of jumped out at you if you managed to read ahead by that point. All right, a preparation checklist. Okay, and finally, what does the speaker ask listeners to do next? That came right at the very end. She said, I'd like you to prepare some feedback on how well you thought the candidate did. All right, so a couple of hints there. I'd like you to is often used when people are asking you for a favor. So they're asking you to do something. And she also mentioned feedback on how well the candidate did. So all of that is a synonymous, it's a synonym, means the same thing as evaluate. So just in case you weren't sure about evaluate and giving feedback is the same thing. Okay? So again, listening for those synonyms too is kind of tricky. All right, we're almost done. All right, last one. Go ahead, please listen. Yay! Okay, let's check. So 98, they definitely left the hardest one right to the end, okay? So 98, what is the purpose of tonight's event? A, to recognize volunteers, all right? And we didn't hear that until about halfway through the talk, about halfway through the announcement. So we said, we're looking forward to celebrating all of our volunteers at tonight's event, okay? Ugh. All right, 99. What has changed about the event? The location. Yes. So hopefully you caught two names of locations. It says we've had to move the event from Humber Gardens to the Springwood Inn on Mott Street. All right. So even if those proper names didn't kind of grab your attention, the phrase on Mott Street, on a street. Oh, we're talking about a location. All right, so the answer is C, 99C. Great. And finally, question 100, what does the speaker recommend? Hopefully you heard the phrase, so you might want to something, 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 which is very, very common when people are giving suggestions. You might want to blah. So the answer is D, parking in a nearby facility. All right, he was talking about how difficult it was to drive in the area. It's not easy to find parking in that area, so you might want to park in the garage behind the inn. Okay, nice job. All right, so part 4 has a reputation for being the part where people start to lose focus and start to get a little bit behind and start to get a little bit panicked. So please, we talked about a lot of things today, but one of the most important things is don't panic during part 4. I should write that on my board in big letters. Don't panic during part 4, okay? If you kind of lose focus or lose heart during part 4, it will affect the rest of the test, and you don't want to do that, all right? Part 4, they make it difficult on purpose. Don't let them get to you, all right? Nice work today. Again, if you have any questions or comments, because we're going really, really fast, please feel free to leave some feedback in the comment section of the video, and I will try to take up the answers maybe at the beginning of tomorrow's session, all right? Depending on how much feedback I get. All right, please leave comments. So for tomorrow, if you're planning on joining us, we will be doing part 5. All right, we'll do something a little bit different. So we'll move on to part 5 for tomorrow. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great evening. Get some rest, and I will see you back here again tomorrow. All right. Take care for now. Thanks for coming. Bye for now.